Hello, everyone, and welcome to 2021's first broadcast of Coldwell Banker's Virtual Education Expo. I'm Wendy Crane, Coldwell Banker's Vice President of Learning. For those of you who are joining us for the first time today, we are so glad you're here. At Coldwell Banker, we are dedicated to making sure our agents are equipped with the knowledge and skills they need to position themselves as trusted advisors in every market. That core value was the catalyst for launching this series. It's hard to believe that next month will be the anniversary of our very first broadcast. It seemed like almost overnight, COVID shut down the world as we once knew it. All of us were frantically trying to find out the best way to make sure that our agents were getting the help and information they needed to keep themselves and their clients safe and informed. I still remember getting that call from Casey Ricker the day she shared with me her idea of a 6-series broadcast education expos that would last for 3 weeks. She was asking me to be the host, and of course I agreed. But what was intended to last for 3 weeks and 6 sessions ended up being a year-long opportunity for us to provide relevant, timely, and encouraging messages to our industry in a time like no other. By the end of 2020, we had broadcast 13 sessions to over 40,000 attendees. This year, we're excited to share with you that we've launched a brand new website, cbeducationexpo.com. You'll be able to register for our upcoming education expos there, as well as gain access to our past presentations. You'll be able to download the presentation materials there. And although we have changed our website, we did not change our format. You can still expect to hear new and relevant content directly from some of the brightest agents and leaders in the industry with each session. We will also continue to provide opportunities for live Q&A, so make sure you have your questions ready. In the upper right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see the Q&A button where you can post your questions, and our moderator, Ms. Jill Hickson, will be watching the chat. We'll stop twice during the presentation at about the halfway point, and then again just prior to the end to try to get an opportunity to answer all of your questions. And of course, it wouldn't be an education expo if we didn't kick things off by shining the light on our agents and brokers making lasting impacts on their communities and around the world with CB Good News. Our hats off to the Mid-Atlantic Coldwell Banker Cares Committee for donating their box truck to the Howard County Fire Department Training Academy. And thank you as well to all of our first responders. And to Laressa Newman of Coldwell Banker Realty in Georgetown, Texas, whose efforts helped raise money to impact the lives of 5 single moms over the holidays. Your story deeply touched our hearts. Thank you for paying it forward. And finally, our last good news stories for today comes to us from Coldwell Banker Realty's East Central Florida region, where they raised $36,000 in the month of December alone for the Coldwell Banker Cares organization. Special thanks to Robin Musica, who is the managing broker of the Orlando North Heathrow office, for organizing the fundraiser, and to all of the branch managers for their participation and contribution. You make us very proud. We encourage all of you to keep spreading kindness. We absolutely love seeing the positive effects that you're having around the world, but make sure you're using the hashtag CBGoodNews when posting to social media, because if we can't find it, we can't share it. And kindness is something I think all of us could use a whole lot more of. Let's go ahead and get to today's topic. Today's broadcast was designed to help you prepare to ace the spring market, because as crazy as the market may seem today, we're expecting things to heat up in the spring, and we're not just talking about the weather. Let's go ahead and meet today's panelists. Today, we will be hearing from Nicole Lewis of Coldwell Banker Premier in Winchester, Virginia, and Christy Lindsay of Coldwell Banker Realty in Milford, Connecticut. Nicole transferred from the hospitality industry into real estate, and she was named Rookie of the Year despite having just relocated. And Christy is a 7-year veteran. She's built her business so large, she's had an opportunity now to launch her own team. These two superstars are going to share with us the tips and tricks they used to grow their business. And I just want to say, Nicole and Christy, thank you so much. I know how crazy it is out there for both of you. I can't thank you enough for giving your time to help us learn and grow. But I'm going to start with Nicole's journey. So Nicole, you spent 20 years in the hospitality industry before getting your real estate license, and chances are we've got people who are attending the expo today who've either just gotten their license or they're considering diving in. Can you share with us how your experience in hospitality prepared you for a career in real estate? What specific skill sets were transferable that set you up for success?
Absolutely. Thanks first for having me. My experience in hospitality has driven my entire world of attention to detail for clients. And the tenets are fairly the same beyond exactly what the transaction is. In real estate, if you want to take great care of your clients and you want to make sure their experience is a phenomenal one, then 20 years of dealing in hospitality will certainly give you the skill set to do that. For me, those skills are really about transparency, attention to detail, really understanding and anticipating your guest needs and your client needs, which coming from being able to adequately read people will help set you up for success in that process. Overall, it's just very client customer service oriented.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, you shared with me when we first spoke that you took advantage of the Coldwell Banker training courses when you first started, and now you're taking them again. So tell me what those classes did for you when you were new to the business, and then why are you taking them again now?
Well, coming into real estate, I had no sphere. It was all brand new for me, and I really wanted to capture as much information as I can. One of my fellow agents wisely told me that if you try to learn everything before you get going, you will never get started. So these classes really enabled me to capture a foundation I needed and get into the proper mindset for what it was that I was trying to accomplish. And I'm taking them again now because for many of us, our business evolves, times evolve, and things can change. Your experience can help you refocus. And that's exactly why I'm revisiting a lot of these classes, is because after having the experience that I have, it helps me view everything that I'm learning through a whole new light. And frankly, it's awesome. I'd recommend it to anybody.
That is awesome. Thank you so much. So for those of you who'd like to learn more, a bit more about our CBU learning courses, we just launched our Agent Pathways, and they were designed to help you to determine which courses to take and when to take them based on your business goals. So for those of you who are interested in learning some more, you can visit cbu.com if you're a Coldwell Banker affiliate, or Sales Pro for Coldwell Banker Realty, and just search Agent Pathways and you'll find that information. Okay, so let's go ahead and transition. I'm completely intrigued with the success that you're having with closing online leads. You told me your conversion rate's about 10%. And in case anyone's wondering, most real estate agents have a self-reported conversion rate between 3 and 5%, but NAR says that it's actually more along the lines of like 0.4 to 1.2%, which makes your conversion rate exceptional. Tell us what you are doing to nurture those leads.
Oh, goodness. Consistency and persistence is really the name of the game here. I am not shy about reaching out a number of times. And frankly, I am always keeping the promises that I make. So if I don't hear from somebody and I tell you I'm going to follow up, I'm going to follow up anyway. I think the key to success and differentiating yourself is in part due to people being able to trust what you do. They don't know you. So when you're reaching out to a lead and that's somebody that you absolutely don't know at all, it only helps to bolster your value by keeping your word. And that's something that I really focus on with them. I offer to be a digital resource. I offer to be there for questions, and I don't hard pressure them into people and being able to develop that with them. And I guess it's working.
So talk to us about the 3 Ps. I loved your philosophy. Talk us through the 3 Ps.
I once had a mentor many years ago when we were just getting started, or rather when I was just getting started into management, into hospitality, instill in me what he called the 3 Ps. And that was people first, product second, and profit third. And it's a philosophy that I've taken with me through literally everything I've done in the past 20 years of my professional world. You have to put your people first. You're in a business to take care of people and to help people. So if you put their needs first, anticipate those needs, and really pay attention to those needs, you know, that makes them feel good. That makes them want to work with you. But you have to supplement that with knowledge of your product, because simply just working with people alone is not going to do it. And again, when we talk about transparency and communication, knowing your product is about being able to effectively communicate what it is that they're looking for. And if you know the answer, you can confidently tell them. And if not, in getting that answer for them, you're just further developing that trust in that they're hearing what you know, listening to what you're offering and being able to work with that need. And then, of course, if you do the first two, the profit's going to happen. And I find that if in times when I focus on profit first, which I'm human, we all do that, I haven't succeeded as strongly as when I put the people first and the product second. So for me, that's always really worked, and I'm proud to share it with everybody because I think it's a great philosophy in business and in life. So
it is a great philosophy. Awesome. Thank you. So you also told me that picking up the phone and calling a complete stranger was the last thing that you ever thought that you would be doing. And now you've become obsessed with for sale by owners. So let's talk about, first of all, how you made that transition. And then secondly, why would you decide to target for sale by owners in a market like this one?
Well, I took the lead gen FISBO class because I think I really needed that help in developing scripts and really understanding common objections. And calling strangers is something that many of us are fearful of doing. I mean, you never know what's going to happen on the under end of the line, but as somebody I work with wisely said, they're not going to eat you. So you got to just pick up the phone and do it. And if you put them first, put their needs first, and understand how to address their questions and objections, you can come out looking like a rock star. And in this market, almost the craziness of the market propelled me to find the comfort in calling them, because you never really knew what was going to happen. And if they didn't need you or were able to sell their home on their own, you were still able to be a resource for them and instill that sense of I'm here for you as a member of our community. And it's worked, you know. I'm there for them. That's all you can do. Pick up the phone and just make it happen.
So you'll notice one of these bullets says, get your friends and family on lookout. That's so fun. Tell us about that.
I have my parents and my husband on constant FISBO lookout. They are fully aware if they see a FISBO sign in the yard to take the photo, figure out what the address is, and let me know. And you would actually be surprised. A lot of FISBOs are not on those common AVM sites where you would think they are, and they're struggling to sell. So there you are, another resource for them. And you just pick up the phone and give them a call.
So for those of you who are considering doing this, please make sure that you're always following the do not call policies and procedures. You can find them on our intranet site if you're not sure how those are done. But I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next point, because I'm also fascinated with the fact that you have cracked the code when it comes to Google. Like, you're closing transactions from leads that you generated organically. And as a matter of fact, you were closing one the day I interviewed you for this expo. So we've got to know about what it is that you are doing online that you've been able to get those organic leads from Google.
Absolutely. As I mentioned, and you had mentioned, I had no sphere. I moved to an area where I literally knew no one. And at first, the intent was to physically get out and to network and to meet people and become active physically in the community, which unfortunately for so many of us, COVID completely changed that. So what did we have to do? We have to pivot. And I already am a huge fan of having an online presence and just being online with social media. So I just went tenfold into the work that I was doing, using the resources that's provided for me from Coldwell Banker, creating my own resources, just getting out there and doing a lot of virtual interaction out there with the community. And as a result, I'm getting strong SEO. People are Googling and seeking out Coldwell Banker. And I'm popping at the top of the list, and they're giving me a ring, and it's awesome. But you have to be active and you have to be consistent in what you're doing. You know, posting once in a blue moon is really not going to get you anywhere. It's really about consistent engagement, consistent and sincerity in the voice that you're providing, and it works. It really does.
You had a weekly Instagram video. Talk a little bit about that. That was fun.
I do what I call Thursday Thoughts. It's something that I post weekly on both Instagram and Facebook, as well as a new YouTube channel that I created for myself. And effectively, I pick a topic of information that's real estate related. Sometimes I'll pepper it with some personal anecdotes and things like that, but I really try to be an information resource for anybody who's looking at these Thursday Thoughts videos. When I find that I don't really have a topic to talk about or something that I can't think of, I go and I have a fishbowl with pre-printed questions already going in there, and I'll do a fishbowl question for the day. But I find it's a really fun way to engage and to do video, which I think is a really strong social media medium, and it just works. I get decent feedback. Sometimes people ask me questions about it, and it's a lot of fun to do because it's an opportunity to show personality above and beyond the written word, which is nice.
And that fishbowl, like you actually showed it to me. You picked it up and you pulled it. Like, you have questions inside the fishbowl. You found those online, right? You just went online and found the most common questions for. Is that correct me if I'm wrong?
I did. No, that's exactly what I did. I just Googled the most common real estate questions, and I aggregated about 30 questions from a variety of different sites, random blogs, and they touch on everything from home selling, home buying, questions about the lending process that we as realtors can, of course, speak to. We're not lenders. But overall, it's just a general overview and layman information that can kind of get them wanting a little bit more, maybe a little teaser so they can pick up the phone and give me a call.
Love it. It's great. And then we can't move on before we talk about your personal website, because this was one of the things for me. Of course, when I got the recommendation for you, first thing I did was Google you, and I saw your Coldwell Banker website. And your Coldwell Banker website is literally the website that you get from the company, but you have completely built it out. You have a video profile. You've got your testimonials on there. You've got the areas that you've served. It looks lovely. So, but you redirected. So talk a little bit about what you did to trick the system with your domain that you bought.
I wanted to find a personal domain that spoke to myself and my personality, and Happy Homes VA was available. I'm convinced it was fate. I bought the domain, I linked it directly to the Coldwell Banker site, and I took advantage of as many tools that were available to me, from putting up listings and reviews to, like you said, my video is up there, and my bio. I took the time to focus on that, making it focused and sharing what it is that I can do for you as your realtor while not going a little too crazy long there. And it just works. I ask for engagement. I have no shame. I ask my clients to leave me referrals or rather reviews, and they do. And I think if you read my reviews and you see my video, it really speaks to what we're talking about here, that I am indeed very client focused, which I love.
So just to repeat it, because everybody who is listening to this should go, happyhomesva.com is the site, and you can see Nicole's awesome profile that she built. Alrighty, so you got your license in 2019, and then of course you were the rookie of the year, and then COVID happened. And then you just shared with me that you are on track to beat your 2020 sales by the end of March of this year. I mean, that is amazing. Like, what final advice do you have for the agents listening today who are getting started in this business? What advice do you have to them for success?
Thank you. I am actually very proud of the work that I've done. And I think it's really important to note that I am not a woman alone on an island. My broker, Steve DeBruler, and his team are phenomenal and have provided me with so many tools to really maximize everything that it is that I want to accomplish. And again, I think so much of it is about working with integrity and sincerity through the process. When we are not operating from an organic standpoint, it is so evident to the public, and that can really harm your business. If you want to do something and you know what your why is, whether that why is on the professional side, helping people, and on the personal side, having a quality of life to spend with your family, that why shines through and people respond to that. And for me, as a new agent with no sphere in a new area, for me, it was all about not only working smart, but working hard. Being in real estate is much like the gym. You get out of it what you put in, and you have to be dedicated. There's a level of tenacity that's required, but that time and that energy has to be spent in a wise way. You have to be focused in such a way where you're maximizing results. And I think for me, there's no shame in failure. In the time that I've been licensed and working, I've made mistakes and I've wasted money and I've done these things, but it's through those experiences that you start to realize what works for you as your business is evolving in and of itself. And I see your note here. Yeah, no shame. Ask for those referrals. Like I said, I don't have that sphere. So for me, every lead I capture, every client that I get to a closing table is an opportunity. When they say that they love working with me, the first thing out of my mouth is, tell everybody that you hear say boo about real estate about me. And they do. And little by little, I'm collecting referrals from business, despite having to do everything remotely, not getting out there during times, during this pandemic and what have you, but it's all working. And I can't thank Steve and his team and Stephen Meadows enough, our VP of Ops. Everybody, our agents, I ask questions. I'm not shy about it. Everybody's just been so wonderful. And I attribute so much of my success, not only to my personal work, but also to our team as a whole. They definitely deserve a thanks publicly for that.
Well, thank you so much, Nicole. We have officially reached the halfway point of this session, which means it is time for our first opportunity for Q&A. And Jill has been handling monitoring things here. So Jill, do we have questions for Nicole?
Do we ever? I can barely keep up. I think I've published 33 questions, so we're going to get to as many as we can. And Nicole, just a lot of shout outs from folks that are on the line that are coming from hospitality, getting into real estate. They're definitely resonating with what you are talking about. So just some kudos and some praise for you there. The most question we've got is about your Instagram, and it looks like somebody found it. Is it at Happy Homes VA?
Yes,
okay,
it is.
There we go, folks. You are going to pick up some followers, I think. But a lot of questions about your leads, particularly from, where are you sourcing them? So a lot of questions on where do your online leads come from?
Oh, they come from everywhere. I would love to give a huge shout out to Social Ad Engine for the few listings that I've gotten. I find that yields tons of leads. And, if you are just dedicated and capture even 1 or 2 clients, you've more than made your money back and you've only furthered your sphere. So that to me would be the most universal recommendation for everybody. And I do believe there is now Social Ad Engine to promote yourself above and beyond your listing. So I would definitely recommend that too. Outside of that, Facebook lead gen is amazing. Your sphere is there and they give you opportunities to do it. And then there are, of course, other lead sites and third-party pay options, but those are also personal, and I would say research those before recommending them, because you're going to want to find what works for you.
Fantastic. And then obviously the next question is going to be leading into that 10 to 15 times that you follow up. So how do you continuously follow up when you can tell that maybe they're annoyed or they're not responding? And I think that's a piece, right, where you push through and you set yourself apart. So kind of what's your strategy for that? And do you have a particular schedule that you follow in that follow-up process?
It's really a matter of what just happens naturally with those clients. Sometimes, or with those leads rather, sometimes they respond. I try to keep my outreach initially kind of vague in terms of getting them to have that initial response. And I don't find that as hoodwinking or misleading, but rather just trying to get them to call you back. I will send emails, texts, put them on drips in our CRM. There are so many different ways to follow up and keep consistent, but the key in that follow up is promising that you will follow up and then following up. I find that there are people who will naturally say, I'm not interested. I filled this out because I wanted to look at a pretty house. And that's okay. But when you keep promising to follow up and then do, your response for people who don't want to hear from you anymore, believe it or not, is actually quite polite. And no one's really expressing anger or frustration. Those who perhaps want to just don't respond. But I'm not going to stop who I am in the process, and I'll just keep going unless I'm told otherwise.
That's awesome and great advice. And then I think everybody's also wanting to know what your secret sauce is for FSBOs, particularly in this seller's market. What's your opening line?
I just ask them how they answer the phone. And I say, hey, I'm so-and-so, Nicole Lewis, Coldwell Banker Premier. I see you have your house for sale by owner. How's that going for you? And a lot of them like to talk. So we basically just get onto a conversation from there. And that conversation helps arm me with the information that I need to know what their needs are and then to best handle that moving forward. Sometimes they don't need a realtor and they make that evidently clear, but I still manage to assist them in one way or another. I'll offer, if they're insistent they don't want a realtor, I'll still offer and say, hey, you know what? I love being a valuable resource. I love contributing to the community. Would you like me to come over and just assess the house for you? Maybe give you some feedback on ways that you can wisely spend your money or not, if you wanted to make some fixes. And that's just one of many tracks of conversation that I take with them.
Fantastic. And then I know you.
One more question, probably just for the sake of time, before we have to transition over to Christy.
Absolutely perfect. And I've got 31 new questions in the queue, so they keep coming in, which is fantastic, but we'll whittle it down to one. Nicole, you could sort of ended with asking or talking about referrals, and you always ask for the referral. Do you have a standard script for that, or what is your approach in asking for that referral?
I do not have a standard script. No two clients are alike, so it's just a matter of who those clients are, and just naturally when they come up and say that they love working with me, I'll just simply respond with, if you love working with me and you hear anybody say boo about real estate, please mention my name. And they're happy to do that. And then of course I stay on top of them and make sure to do touch points throughout and keep top of mind, which is a critical component to continuing to receive referrals from people.
Thank you, Jill, and thank you, Nicole. It is time for us to shift over to Christy. We're so excited to hear about what Christy has to say today. And Christy, all right, you spent the first 7 years of your real estate career with the Porto Group, right? You joined a team, and then last September you branched out and you created your own team, branded Love Your Move. Talk to us about why you made the decision to join a team when you started, and what agents should look for if they are thinking about getting a mentor when they start the business.
So when I got my license, I left the testing facility and took a selfie in front of my car saying that I got my real estate license, and was really excited. And about, I think within 2 hours, I had gotten a phone call from Luke Porto, who I had gone to high school with. And he said, hey, come join our team. And I was very intrigued and interested to kind of hear, you know, what does the team have to offer? I never really thought of joining a team. And after having coffee with him and sitting with him, I really saw the benefits of having somebody there that's going to guide me through this ever-changing industry that we're in. Every single realtor that we co-broke with is different. Every single transaction is different. There's millions of questions. 7 years in, I still have questions. Another big perk is the ability to, as a new agent, to be able to say that I am working with the backing of the Porto Group. Jim and Luke had a combined years in the business of over 40 years, and they are so wise and they know everything inside and out. And I was very blessed to have been a part of them and that they took me under their wings. Some of the things that were awesome about them, and that anyone who is looking into going into real estate with a mentor, you want somebody that is going to be approachable. Like I said earlier, there are a bajillion questions always. So it's always great to have somebody that you don't feel like you're bothering, that you can call and ask questions for, that they're available. This is an industry where, you know, now we have cell phones and people are texting us all days and hours of the day. And so to have a mentor that is approachable and available to us is huge. And also somebody that could provide us leads as new agents. It's not always easy to get your first client. So it's nice that they are able to do that. And they had been in the business, like I said, for a long time and had reviews and a track record. And it was just a nice transition to kind of get myself into the industry.
Awesome. Thank you. So video is a huge part of your business. But what I loved about the way you're using video is that you're not just using it for marketing. You've kind of gone outside the box and you're using it to educate your clients and set expectations. So talk to us a little bit about that type of video.
So I think video is probably the most important tool in my toolbox at the moment. I use it to educate and set expectations with my clients so they know where we are every single step of the way. I have a YouTube channel, and I post, right now I have a buyer series up there that I'm kind of tweaking and redoing a little bit, but I think it's really important to connect with them, and being able to send them a video is something that they can go back and reference. They forgot what I said, they can go back and look at that at any time. So I talk about the first steps is picking your realtor, who I hope will be me, getting pre-qualified, because most agents aren't going to bring anyone out until they know that they're pre-qualified. My most important video that I think that I have is the home inspection video. For me, that's always been a struggle in the transaction is the home inspection. And it's so incredibly important as agents to educate our buyers and our sellers what to expect in that. And it just makes everything go so much smoother. So I can't speak enough to having, if you have one video, and that one is the one to do. And of course, understanding the contract in this market right now, where buyers have to make a split-second decision, and you might have just met them and they have to fill out a contract. They're trusting you. So it's really important to be able to say, hey, this is what a purchase and sales agreement looks like, and be able to talk it through, and they can kind of reference that and look at it. And so it's just very helpful. And then another thing that I use is BombBomb. And I just started using that in September, and I absolutely love it. I do pay for leads, and I have a company that scrubs leads for me and will send them to me. And a majority of them are cold leads. So by cold leads, I mean that they're not necessarily responding, but I will get that lead and I will send them a quick BombBomb text or email, and I can see if they've read it, and I'm getting responses from them. I think it's harder for somebody to not respond to a face. And so I have found that to be gigantic, and I'm really excited about using that.
And I just want to repeat for anybody who missed that, those are cold leads that are not getting anything. And then you're sending them a video and suddenly they're responding. So video, awesome. Let's continue to talk about video. So I know that our agents out there are like, oh gosh, video. What level of technology would you say that an agent needs to be able to do what it is that you're doing with video, and tell us what tools you're using?
I know nothing about technology. So if I can do it, anybody can do it. If you have a phone, that will help. I have my lamp, and that helps. I also have a tripod, which I use all the time, and I can set that up when I'm doing video at a house or just on my dining room table. And I use iMovie to splice different videos together. And then I also use Teleprompter Pro. And with Teleprompter Pro, when I first started doing the videos, I would write out a whole script and I would sit there and I would read through it, and it felt very fake to me. And so what I started doing is using that instead as bullets, and just kind of having those bullets there and being able to speak to those bullets. And I found that it is much, much easier. Some tips that I would give for using video is to get out of your way. And by get out of your way, I mean get out of your head. I started to get comfortable doing videos in my car. And I found that that worked for me because I wasn't concentrating on looking at myself in the camera. I was concentrating on driving and just kind of talking. And through that, and then I would post them on Facebook and I would get responses, and that kind of gave me a little bit more confidence to now I don't even think twice when I can pick up my camera wherever. And I just did it in Target the other day. I had a call come in from a new buyer. I took the call and I hung up with them, and I immediately did a quick BombBomb. Hey, they knew I was in Target. Hey, this is Christy. Thank you so much for talking to me. I'm going to send you over that information. So I don't know, it just becomes second nature. And I hope that it can for you guys too, because it's awesome.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, let's move on. You closed $25,000 worth of transactions in 2020 from geographic farming using Facebook alone. Let's talk about your mom's group.
So about 6 years ago, I was on another Facebook group that had suggested for realtors, suggesting making a group that you can kind of farm. So I chose the moms of my area. I have 3 towns, and I chose a mom's group because I'm a mom and I had young kids at the time. And I thought, you know what, this is a great way for me to connect with the moms in the area. And I don't use this as a platform of me to say, hey, I'm a realtor, hire me. I use this as a platform to kind of share myself, and where other moms can kind of share what's going on in their lives. So I invited all the moms that I knew, and I made a deal with everybody because a lot of people started to kind of like post what they do. And I said, let's kind of do this on the first Monday of the month, so that way this is not becoming a group where it's spammed by just people looking for business. So I do try to kick off a video reminder for the first Monday in the month, and that kind of gets me in front of everybody again. But I think one of the most fun things that I do in the group is, and I don't do this all the time, I'll pop on once a month, maybe once every other month, and I'll do the dishes. So it's like dishing with Christy. And I just actually did it in February. I was having a tough time. My son was turning 13, and he had come into the living room and asked if he can have a couple friends sleep over. And I was crushed because of COVID, and the answer was no. And I thought, let me just kind of reach out to my moms, and what turned into like one person that was there, and then 5 people that were there. And then all of a sudden I have 60 moms there, and we're all chatting about our winter babies and how it's tough. And the next morning, I spoke nothing of real estate. The next morning I had 2 people that were actually on that video that asked me real estate questions. And one of them is a new client looking upwards of $750,000. I didn't go after that person, but they liked me, liked what I had to say. And I think that it just speaks volume to not always just kind of throw yourself out there as a realtor, but be a person that people can like.
I love it. And the dishes in the dish, I mean, it's just absolutely brilliant. So, and it's free, right? Like this is stuff that's free. Just for yourself.
Yep.
Amazing. So I'm going to move to SOI now because you closed over $100,000 on your sphere of influence. So we got to know what it is you're doing with your sphere of influence.
So with my sphere, I just try and keep in touch with people. Facebook is huge for that. I go on Facebook every morning. The first thing I do before I even check my email is I go on Facebook and I look at my memories. And I also look at birthdays. So those are my 2 first things that I do every morning. I wish people a happy birthday. I look to see if I closed a house on that day a year ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, and wish those people a happy house anniversary. And I just think it's great. And they get a kick out of it. And again, it reminds A, the people on my Facebook page that I sell real estate, and B, reminds them, my clients, that I'm still here. So it's also a blessing because I have got to watch first-time home buyers get that first house together, get their first dog together, have their first baby, have their second baby, and then they're calling me again. And I've been there all along watching it. And it's just a really great way to kind of forge relationships, because I think that real estate has a lot to do with keeping relationships and just kind of moving forward in life with those. And then another thing, which is not necessarily Facebook, but I also think it's really important, is the handwritten note. I think it speaks volumes. I think that mail, people don't get any anymore unless if it's a bill. So to get a handwritten note from me or from anybody, I think always means a lot to someone. So I utilize that a lot as well.
Awesome. All right, let's talk about marketing your listings because you shared with me that you are a big fan of Listing Concierge. When I asked you about it, you told me you would be silly not to use it. So there could be some agents listening who don't know what Listing Concierge is. So if you could just give us like a quick description of what it is and then why you're such a big fan of Listing Concierge.
Yes, so Listing Concierge I started using last year, and it is a no-brainer, and you are silly if you're not using it if it's something that's offered in your office. As listing agents, I think that this will put me over the top when I'm going against other agents in my market. And I think that it does, because everybody as a listing agent, you should be getting professional photography. That should be your number one thing that you're doing. And if you're not, you're doing a disservice to your clients. So if you're going to be doing that and you're going to be spending the $100, $150, it makes complete sense to spend $250 and be able to get everything that's on this list here. You get the professional photography. You're going to get a single page website that you share with them, that they can share on Facebook and Instagram and everything, which sends leads back to me. So that's huge. I get just listed postcards sent out around the surrounding area, or I can send it to people that I want it to go to. And then I get just sold when it sells. I get mobile marketing, which goes on top of that sign. So if somebody's driving by that house and wants more information, they text the number and it goes directly to me the second they're in front of the house. And I can call them up and say, hey, are you in front of 123 Main Street? Let me get you in there. I think the sellers really love that, but also the buyers are like, whoa, that's really cool. And the fact that you can be so quickly responsive. And every seller loves that they get that TV spot. It's 20 seconds and they just think that that is the bee's knees. So I like to be able to tell them they get that. And then they get their print advertising. So they'll be in local newspapers around the area, which a lot of people still look at.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Now let's talk about your brand, which, by the way, is completely fabulous. I love the design of your brand. I think it's brilliant. And when it comes to branding, because it's so important, right? What advice do you have for agents who maybe haven't dug in and created their own brand yet?
So this was something I've been thinking about for a very, very long time, and I'm so pleased just looking at it on the screen. I'm so pleased with how it came out. It was a lot that went into it, and I wanted it to be personal and authentic. I wanted it to speak to what I want my clients to experience when they're working with me. I want it to be a fun experience. I want them to leave and saying, we loved working with you. And I didn't want it to be my name. I knew that going in. And that was what made my branding was a little bit harder, was because it could be very easy to say I was, you know, the Lindsay Group or something like that. But I didn't want it to be that way, because I wanted my team members to feel like they were a part of it. So, you know, you see the Love Your Move with Christy, and I have Sean on my team. So it's Love Your Move with Sean on all of his branding, and another girl coming on, Love Your Move with Erica. I think it's really important for my team members to feel like they're a part of it, and be able to use different colors. And I don't know, that was a labor of love coming up with, and I had a great little team of helpers that created it and came up with it. And just even the little geo tracker with the heart in it for the O, I love it. I love it. I love it.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And for those of you who are not super good at stuff like that, like I'm not, I'm terrible. Someone's at the door. Sorry. For those of you who are, you can use Design Concierge. So if you're a Coldwell Banker Realty agent, you can use Design Concierge. If you are a Coldwell Banker affiliate, it should be coming near you soon, hopefully. And sorry about somebody who clearly wants in my house. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on to close things out. Any final words of wisdom, Christy, for our agents listening before we break for our final section of Q&A?
Sure. So my final thoughts, my words from the wise. A wise man named Jim Porto once told me once, I was probably in my first few months of work, and I was having a tough time, and I really wanted this deal to go through, and things weren't going the way that I wanted it to. And he just kind of put his hand on my shoulder, and he's like, Christy, you can't want it more than them. And as soon as he said it, it made so much sense to me. And I think that when you're in it, you get very emotional, but you can't want it more than them. And you can guide them and give them the resources and the education. But sometimes it doesn't always work out. And when I'm having a tough time, even still 7 years later, I constantly have to remind myself I can't want it more than them. I know Nicole said work smart and hard, and I'm work smart, not hard, but I don't know. I kind of works for me. I am assertive when I need to be. I am not pushy. That is what works for me. I'm not the kind of person that will call someone 25 times. I will follow up, but that's just not the way that I personally do business. And I'm finding the way that I do business works for me, and that makes me happy. And the last two things are be transparent and set expectations. Expectations, setting those for your clients, it really will lead to the smooth transaction as opposed to surprises coming up down the road. So that's what I got for you.
We have reached our second round of Q&A, and I know we have lots of questions coming in. I'm sure we have a lot more. Jill, what questions do we have for Christy?
Again, a ton of questions coming in, and Christy, lots of shout outs for being very inspiring. So your message is definitely resonating. I think the $64,000 question, or what everybody wants to know, is what lead gen company are you using to scrub those leads?
I am using HomeSnap. And I have been really, really happy with what I've been getting from them. I also have, HomeSnap is the host of my my real estate page. So if you look up Love Your Move CT, that's hosted by HomeSnap. And so I'm thrown off by my screen. I'm so sorry, guys. But HomeSnap is who sends it to me. They scrub, they will call, they will text, they will email anybody that clicks on my ads on Facebook and Instagram. And it's funny, the ones that they tell me are cold that I am reaching out to, I would say maybe 1 out of every 20 will respond back to me, and I'm happy with that.
Fantastic. And you mentioned both Facebook and Instagram, and we will dive into that. But what are your handles for that? Everybody's wanting to follow you and see what you're doing.
Okay, so my Facebook is, well, my personal page. I didn't kind of go into that really. I have a business page, on Facebook, and I have a personal page. My business page really, I use Keeping Current Matters for that, and they post for me. And then I will also post my just listed and my just solds on there. And I just kind of let that be. On my personal page, that's where I'm doing the Happy House Anniversaries. I post all of that on my own page, and my clients become my friends. So while my clients will like my business page, really I use my personal page more for that. But and then my handle is Christy is your agent on Instagram.
Fantastic. I think you'll be picking up some new followers here today.
Awesome. I hope so. And you know what? I'm honestly new to Instagram. So if anybody has any tips or uses Instagram, I will help you out with Facebook if you help me out with that. Or with videos for BombBomb.
That seems like a deal. And that's kind of the next set of questions is a lot of,
Sure.
in terms of the content that you're producing. So how do you manage to put together content and speak about it? Is it topical focused, or is it just kind of off the cuff? I know you mentioned, when you were at Target, you just kind of did a video. So is some of it more strategic and some of it just more organic, or what does that look like from a content perspective?
So I think about what I need it for. So right now I have one BombBomb that I send out. So when I get a new lead from HomeSnap, I usually get 3 or 4 a day. And I will send out immediately a BombBomb that says, hey, this is Christy. Thanks for clicking on my link on Facebook or Instagram. If you were just perusing, that's great. If you're looking to buy a house or sell a house, you can text me below. And it's just that simple. So quick and easy, 20 seconds. Don't want to be long. Everybody's busy these days. And what I like about BombBomb is that I can see if they've watched it. I can see how much they watched. I can see if they watched 20 seconds of it and was like, forget it. Or I can see if they watched the whole thing through. So if I know they watched the whole thing through, I know that there's a little bit of interest if they did watch it. So that gives me the confidence to call back and say, hey, I saw that you watched the video, just checking in with you. And I'll do that a couple days later. I won't necessarily do it 3 hours later or, the next day, but it'll just, and I'll send another video saying, hey, just checking in. So, but the YouTube videos that I have, those ones I put a lot more time and thought into. Those are about anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And though the ones on YouTube right now are single cut, but I'm working on redoing the videos that I have there to be, a bunch of different videos that are kind of sliced together going over the steps of the home buying process. And then I'm going to do another listing for listing series.
Fantastic. And that kind of tees up the next question. I love when these all flow together and it makes it a really nice flow of questions. So in terms of you mentioned that you can see when folks open your videos. Are you tracking, or do you know what your open and response rates are for those video messages?
You know what? BombBomb has that for me. I have never been a big numbers person. If somebody asks me, percentages and that kind of stuff on my sales, I don't really pay attention to it. I pay attention to the person that I'm working with and trying to convert. But BombBomb does give you that number, that open rate. And if that person that has the question wants to know, what that looks like, I can definitely get in touch with them if they want to reach out to me through Facebook or Instagram.
Fantastic. And then in terms of YouTube or any of those videos that you have posted, whether that's on Facebook or on YouTube, how long are you leaving those up for? Do you leave them up for a month and take them down? Do you leave them up and just let them kind of sit on your site for anybody to search for?
No, they just sit on my YouTube. I mean, nobody's really looking for me on YouTube unless I tell them to go there. I think I have like 4 subscribers because nobody's subscribing to my channel. But what I do is I send links every step of the way, and I can see that my people are looking at it and reading or watching it. So I don't, once I post it, it stays there. And I do have a couple listing videos there too for new listings that I had. So I use those as examples to new listing when I go on a listing appointment, that I'll do a video like this for you. And I just leave everything there.
Fantastic. I have this sneaking suspicion you'll be getting more than 4 followers after today's session, because a lot of people are wanting to see what you're doing in terms of content. So that's great. And then shifting sort of, on the opposite end of the spectrum with that, what kind of things are you putting in those handwritten notes?
Every note, you know what? Whatever comes to mind. If somebody just pops in my head, I'll just say, you know what? I was thinking of you today, and I just thought that I would say hi. Or if I saw them post something on Facebook, the birth of a child, or a happy house anniversary kind of thing, I'll do that in a handwritten note too. But a lot of times it's just a personalized, thoughtful note to the person that I'm sending it to, or even just a "how are you" kind of thing, which will prompt a phone call usually, and most times for them to respond back to me, which is always really nice.
Fantastic. And then I think this sort of overarching question of how do you overcome fear of, or that perceived fear of rejection when reaching out to one of those prospective clients? I know you've got that company that's kind of scrubbing your leads, but how do you sort of mentally prepare for reaching out to that prospective client?
I still have that fear. 7 years in, I don't want somebody to hang up on me. I hate it. It's one of the hardest things, which I think is why I like using video, because I feel like if they're not responding, or they want to say no, at least they heard me and what I have to say, and I feel like I got it out there. But you do, like, if you want to succeed in this business, you can't always take no for an answer, and you do have to push through that fear. And I think that just makes me better every year. It becomes a little bit easier. Every phone call, it becomes a little bit easier. I feel like I found something really special with BombBomb, or just doing videos and being able to get what I want said. Sometimes if I'm a little nervous, like I am right now, like I just feel like it's super helpful. And if you get yourself comfortable enough to be on screen, it can really change your business. I'm really looking forward to, because I just started. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm looking forward to the end of this year and really being able to look back and see what kind of conversion I am doing, and paying a little bit more attention to that now that I have my own team, and I should be paying attention to those and doing those numbers a little bit more. I'm excited to see what's going to come from that and share with you guys.
One more. We've got time for one more, Jill, before I take it home.
Fantastic. So Chris, maybe on average, how much time do you spend making calls and following up on those leads? If it's on a daily or weekly basis, how much time would you guess that you spend making follow-up calls or outreach calls?
So it depends on what I'm doing that day. Sometimes I'll take those leads as they come in and just send out a quick video to them. And if I get a response, then I'll take the time to have a conversation. Other times I'm busy and I'm showing houses all day, or I'm doing CMAs or meeting with people. So I'll sit down at the end of the night, I'll go into BombBomb and I'll send out an email, and they have a template that you can use for really any different reason. And I'll just send everybody out the same email in a mass blind CC kind of thing. So it really depends on the day and how much time I want to spend, and or how much time I have to spend on it. There have been days where I've spent 5 minutes on it. There's been days where I've spent 5 hours. So it kind of just depends on what I feel like that day.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christy. And thank you, Nicole. Both of you ladies, you were phenomenal today. I am so appreciative of your willingness to take the time to help us all learn. And I'm going to go ahead and take it from here and close us out for the day. This coming Tuesday, February 23rd at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Coldwell Banker brand, in partnership with Guaranteed Rate Affinity, will bring us the second session in a series titled Discovering a Path to Fix and Flip Success. It's part of our Wealth Builder Expos. Registration for the session is limited, so make sure you visit wealthbuilderexpo.com to register. Speaking of registering, our next Education Expo will broadcast on May 20th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our focus in May is going to be on listings. Inventory is at an all-time low, and there is no question the agent with the market share, meaning the listings, is going to be the big winner. So join us in May to find out what you can do to build your market share. And in the meantime, we've got a challenge for you. Join us in the month of March as we kick off our Spring Lead Gen Challenge. The goal of this challenge is to generate as many leads as possible during the month of March through expanding your reach. And we've got the recommendations for social posts and scripting to help each day. We'll also help hold you accountable as you track your contacts and appointments using our e-scoreboard. For additional information and to join our challenge, you can visit cbu.com for Coldwell Banker Affiliates or Sales Pro for Coldwell Banker Realty. Just search Lead Gen Challenge. And finally, don't forget to bookmark our new website, cbeducationexpo.com, where you'll find the replay of this broadcast as well as our presentation materials. Each presentation will include a slide that looks like this, a resource slide with links directly to some of the information that we spoke about during the session. So you can expect those materials to be published about 48 hours after the end of each broadcast. And that is a wrap for today's session. Again, a huge thank you to Nicole and Christy, to Marketing and Learning for their continued collaboration, and of course to all of you who participated in today's session. Once again, the materials of today's session along with the presentation will be found at cbeducationexpo.com. I'm Wendy Crane, encouraging you to stay inspired, keep spreading kindness, and never stop learning. Thanks again. We hope to see you all in May.